When a decision is made, responsibility lies with you. And are you prepared to take on that level of responsibility?
The business is going to fail regardless of if you have great traction or not. So I would personally just, if possible, get in person with them and just say, here's where I'm at.
The evidence is this is the hardest part of being a founder, is not being emotionally connected to the outcome you want.
Don't feel like you can't quit. You should quit. Like if you don't want to be in it, just quit. You shouldn't stay in a business you don't want to be in.
I've always said, let the product show you where it needs to go and be willing to let go of the potential of what you perceive the outcome to be.
We are back with another episode of the Do As I Say, Not As I Did podcast, where we answer real and often very insane questions from Reddit about growing a startup. And today I'm super excited to be joined by Peta Ellis. So Peta is the general manager at Beaten Zone Ventures, or Beaten Zone Venture Partners. I've known Peta, I think, for a decade. So very early in Vigo's life, we found River City Labs, which was a co-working space and an accelerator and just like a whole startup community, which we got involved in super early in the days of Vigo. And Peta was there day one when we got there, and she was there our entire experience through River City Labs and went through the accelerator. And Peta has been hugely influential in my own startup journey and in the history of Vigo, because we walked in and Peta's just always there. Any connection that you want, Peta could make that for you. If you were being naughty in the startup space, Peta would yell at you. Like Peta was there to kind of help you stay grounded and to build this up. So we've loved Peta, and then, just got to stay friends over the past few years. So I'm always a huge fan of Peta, because Peta really does care about founders and startups and gives so much of her time to build up startups. So if you ever have questions about startups, just follow Peta or reach out to Peta, and she's there to help people. So she's a phenomenal leader in the Australian startup ecosystem. So thank you for coming on today. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
That's a very lovely wrap. And look, I'm glad you sort of noticed the little things. And I am for sure happy to help with anybody with a startup. But as you would have noticed, I'm always interested in the people and ensuring that they have the right things, whether it's the right connections or the right personal routines and habits to be able to execute on building a startup. That's the thing. You can have the best idea in tech, but are you the right person, or have you got the right things in your life? Are you set up to actually execute on it? Because it's not an easy journey, as we all know. So it's often the things that people don't say are going to be the most influential or important things to pick up along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, on the people side, let's start with a very people-sided question. This is called, how do I tell my co-founder I want to quit after 14 months and no product market fit? I left finance 14 months ago to build a B2B SaaS for investors. The product is built. We offer a free 2-week pilot. We've had plenty of demos and follow-up demos, but still 0 paying customers, and not a single fund has even taken the free pilot. I'm pretty burnt out. I'm increasingly sure I want to quit. I want to refocus on getting a job and stop sinking time into this. How do I tell my co-founder I want out without making it personal or blowing things up? And this question is from DStyle90.
DStyle90. Well, I think DStyle90 is got an employee mindset and is waiting for very quick result. It's not quick, but also if you've had 0 traction, I don't think, if you 2 co-founders have not both identified that there's a problem here, I think there's a problem in the relationship, not the startup. Because if you both haven't picked up that there is 0 traction or interest, like you can't go and build something and then put it to market and wonder why no one's interested. There has to have been testing along the way to give you indicators and markers that it's worth chasing down. Yet with co-founder relationships, if you're both not on the same page, which is often, if you haven't had the discussion, which is always really hard to have in the beginning, is how long are we prepared to do this without income? Like having that really raw, honest conversation. So if you and I, Joel, would start something like, great, let's go into this. We've both got a background in finance. I've got some savings. So I could possibly afford to do this for 12 months before I'm going to need to get some supplementary income from somewhere. So I can go full time at this based off my savings. How about you? And you can go, look, I've got a bit more runway, or my wife's working. And she's also happy, because it's never just the founder, it's the other people in the relationship.
100%.
So although the 2 founders could have an agreement, their partners, if there are some, need to be on board with this conversation. And I've seen this happen a lot, where they haven't had the conversation. They get to this point, someone can't continue, or they want to get out. But it is personal. So him saying it, don't want to make it personal. It is personal because you committed to something that's very personal. It is never just a business. This is a lifestyle choice, which is then personal because it affects every part of your life. So it's, first of all, you have to have the conversation. Honesty and transparency upfront day one is the only thing that's going to make this business work. And it is personal. So if you can't get personal with your co-founder, you're going to find it very difficult to stay in this long term.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I guess I would say maybe a different approach to this question is that I think it's totally fine for you to quit this company. Like 14 months and you've done all these demos and you're getting zero traction is a good reason to quit. Like
Totally.
I totally believe in the idea of like starting and shutting down ideas. Like I've been doing my business for 10 years. But also, my co-founder and I, we just obsessed with startups. We're always looking for new ideas, just because like it's fun to do stuff, and we're constantly finding problems that we think are interesting, and then going out and validating it, and then maybe building a little something, and then validating it further. And we're always taking a few steps, but we've killed dozens of ideas that we thought were really good ideas, but they just didn't make sense. I mean, we've probably done it a little bit different to this guy. We never like just build something, go out, and then see if it works or fails, right? Like I think you've probably done the business a little bit backwards. You need to start and validate each next step. Like I talk about this a lot on the show, but I wouldn't like you're 14 months in. You've done a lot of validation, but I think you could have probably learnt this after 14 days, not 14 months. Like you should have got the idea, gone out, started speaking to 100 investors, and then you would have known very quickly if this idea was going to fly or not. And then that could have given you the confidence to build a website, and then a tiny MVP, or even like trying to get signs before that. Like you should have done the business in a different approach, and you shouldn't have let yourself get 14 months in before discovering this. I think do your business in reverse to what you did, and always find validation first, and just validate a few steps at a time. Give yourself that confidence. But on having the conversation, like, yeah, I mean, don't feel like you can't quit. You should quit. Like if you don't want to be in it, just quit. You shouldn't stay in a business you don't want to be in. Like I actually think that's okay. Especially you're feeling burnt out, that's okay as well. I mean, burnout comes and goes. That will just happen in a startup, I think. But if you really believe in the idea, or if you don't believe in the idea, then quit. So for the conversation side of things, you just have, like Peter said, you have to be super upfront and direct about it. And no business will ever survive not being able to do that. Like my co-founder and I have had so many very direct conversations, and that's been from day one, and that's been really important. And it's hard. It's still hard sometimes. Like we're 10 years in, and we can still sometimes get into like huge fights that we try not to get personal, but like if you don't have that strong underlying relationship where there's trust and love between you, and you can't have those conversations, then the business is going to fail regardless of if you have great traction or not. So I would personally just, if possible, get in person with them and just say, here's where I'm at. I think I'm here. Like don't fully step out of the business first. Like don't make the whole decision and then go to them with your mind made up. Like have the conversation, because I think that's showing more respect, in my opinion, to let them know where you're at.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, I always say if you don't want to be in it, don't be in it. It's not if you're having these feelings early on, then
and 14 months is early. Like
exactly. And the other thing that I will challenge is that the word burnout gets thrown around a lot, and I do think it's a bit like there's the two terms that really I find annoying is burnout and then imposter syndrome, because I think they've gone beyond the actual original descriptions of them, in terms of, like, people say I've got burnt out. I'm like, no, we're actually just tired. People can get tired. You can get tired. Then you need a break. And also there is a level of extending yourself and pushing your boundaries, which becomes quite normal in entrepreneurship, but businesses are hard, and you are required to go beyond your comfort zone a lot of the time.
Yeah. Doing a startup, like you're going to get so tired, and some days you're going to be really pissed off, and some days you're going to be so elated, but you're going to have these massive highs and you're going to have huge long lows. Like startups are just very, very brutal and very hard. And sometimes you're made for that, but I think a lot of people also aren't. Like
they're not.
And that's actually okay.
Totally. But if you can say, look, I'm not here for this. I don't thrive in this environment. Other people totally thrive. Or are you willing to invest the time and effort that it takes to, because with the extension of like your requirement to extend yourself, you need to develop systems to support that level of output. So are you willing to do that?
Yeah, I heard a founder that I really love recently say, I was doing a speech recently and someone said to me, like, tell me about like work-life balance. And she's like, there is no fucking work-life balance. I gave up my life for this. Like, this is it. This is my whole life now. And I actually don't think that's sustainable for a long time, but it is the reality of large parts of your startup. Like,
Yeah.
this is everything. There isn't a balance
Well,
where like,
it's your lifestyle,
yeah,
and don't be like, okay, it's very hard to compartmentalize. I'm doing this here and this here, because when you have entered that world, you're thinking about things all the time. It's like, how do I create time and space to execute on it, and then also create time and space to do that? But it doesn't turn off. It doesn't
yeah.
turn off.
My co-founder and I are very close friends. I mean, my co-founder anyway, Peter. I was just saying Ben. Like, Ben and I are very close friends, and so like my wife and I often hang out with Ben and his wife, right? Like, just because my life and Ben's life are just very joined in every possible way. I say that we're professional soulmates, but
Yeah.
for a long time, my wife was
Great
just
way of
like,
looking at it.
yeah, my wife was just like, no talking about Vigo, and then after a while, she's just like, fucking whatever, I can't stop this. It's just like, this is who you are. This is like who you guys are. We live and breathe every second.
Yep. We often talked about having a support club for the wives and husbands and support partners of founders.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, it is, because they need to come together and share support stories on ways to cope with being a partner of a founder.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, D-Style 90, how do you tell your co-founder? First of all, we want to tell you it's okay to quit. It sounds like your business actually isn't going well, and that's okay, quit. And if it's not for you, that's fine to quit. But have the conversation early, have it in person, and have it very honestly, and try and show respect there. But you can't prevent making it personal. You can't prevent blowing things up, because startups are such a large part of you. When you become a founder, it is so much of your identity. And so when you tell this person, you just need to know they're not going to hear you say you're quitting the startup. They're going to hear you say you're quitting them, and you just have to be okay with that, and push through that difficult thing. But you are founders, and that's what you've agreed to do, because you are professional soulmates, or I mean, at least for that point in time, that's what you've agreed to do. So yeah, I think just have the conversation, have it early, have it honestly, but do it quick. All right, D-Style 90, you've been advised. We'll move on to the next question. I'm really interested in this one. I have no idea how to answer this one, so I'm really keen, because I think you might have seen this from a different perspective to me. What is the path to becoming a CEO? Humor me that I'm taking this seriously as a career path. How is it done? What field do you go into after graduating? What do you study? How long does it take? Do you just get an MBA and randomly climb? This is from Azalian777. So I actually don't really know. Like, I know that if you become a founder and you start a business, you become a CEO. Have you seen it happen, Peter, in other parts? Like, how does like a non-founder become a CEO?
So I've become a CEO and I didn't do university.
True. You're a great example here. How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, and that's also coming from someone who started. Interesting. No one goes straight into being the CEO. All CEOs, if you were to have the traditional pathway where you've studied and then entered into a company, it doesn't matter what industry, and you're working in, could be the marketing department, or you could be a consultant, you could be in sales, customer service. So I'll talk about the skills of a CEO, but having an awareness of parts of the business from the ground up does give you an edge in leadership and understanding not only all parts of the business and how they operate, but how you need to manage the people in those roles. It's very difficult to come in as a CEO. So CEOs do get imported into the top if they haven't worked all the way in the organization, because they have experience and they're great at leading people and achieving outcomes. So with the CEO role, it is around business management, people leadership, and delivering whatever the organization is focused on delivering, and that's bottom line results or certain goals, depending on what the organization is. We could be talking about not-for-profits, an impact-driven organization, right through to organizations that are looking for financial outcomes. But you do need to have a lot of those skills. For myself in particular, you can go from a management level to a CEO role if you have proven that you can execute on different parts of the business, have a level of awareness around the business part of growing a business, and that is, the financial side of things. Communication skills are key. Can you communicate to people that require communicating to. And that's at a CEO level, that's the stakeholders. It is having the financial literacy to communicate in a language that matters to certain people, and also the same communication skills to communicate to the lead. Well, if they have people below you, like a leadership team, and set goals on what needs to be achieved with the outcomes, and then motivate people along the way to be able to achieve those goals. So the people skills, the leadership skills, the financial acumen, and language and communication skills are really key in that. There is another part of CEO role, which could be to drive and provide external insight into the organization. So it might be the face of an organization. It might be being the key, like a speaker, to so that organization has an identity attached with it. Now, if it's a bit more of an impact-driven organization, a person with opinions or good, like strong outcomes, and they can communicate that clearly on what they're looking to achieve and paint the vision and the mission clearly to the public to explain what the company's doing. There's another whole part. So if I put my PR hat on, so I've been involved for many years in public relations, and being able to communicate through tricky times with, crisis management, and communicate to stakeholders to let them know what's happening, plus also then to media to let them know and give them a level of insight into what the organization's going through and how they're going to react and respond. And then also to stakeholders to give them confidence that you know what the next steps are to manage the company through that. So you've got a lot of output, plus there needs to be a lot of input and processing of information to be able to have the right reactions and communication strategies and the ability to do all of that quite quickly when required. So it's wearing of lots of hats. So I think if you were if that's the role you wanted to have in the future, is like train yourself in all areas of business, whether it's in the finance side, whether it's in the marketing, language, communication side, whether it's understanding customers. So sales, you can't lead a sales team if you don't understand the process of sales outcomes or understand what challenges they have in that section. I'm not saying you need to go and be the best salesperson, however, having awareness of what they go through in the process there. But for a founder of startups, often there's always this challenge of, is a founder the best CEO? Do we bring in external CEOs? I've seen this work, and I've seen it fail more times than I've seen it work, where you bring in external CEOs to an organization rather than training a founder up to have CEO skills. I'm a fan of training founders up to have CEO skills, opposed to bringing an external CEO in to manage and to lead an organization that was founded, like a startup that was founded by founders, unless it's a very unique relationship where somebody key in the organization has better CEO skills and they've been there from the beginning. It's tricky. That one's a tricky one. I've seen it work, but like I said, I've seen it fail more often than work when an external CEO is brought in to lead a startup.
Yeah, well, I mean, a conventional CEO often operates a more conventional business, and a startup is often in a stage of a business which is less stable and less normal. It's going through these crazy iterations, and you need someone who is much more fluid than I think a conventional CEO. So it's asking someone to come from a different stage of a business to come and run your business, and the stage of business is very important. So, the idea of like a founder actually does need to actively change to become a good CEO.
Yes, you do.
And that's something over the past 2 years that I've taken really seriously to try and learn. And my job now is so different to what my job was like 2 years ago, leading the same organization. And it's just because being a CEO is like, being a founder is really scrappy.
Yeah.
And being a CEO is a lot less scrappy. It's not scrapless, but you need to operate in a completely different way. And so you need to really hone in, your financial literacy, your PR skills, your management skills, your leadership skills. It's a different world. So, I mean, I think that's an interesting point. But I think that's interesting that if someone does want to go from the outside into becoming a CEO, and we look at more maybe conventional businesses instead of just coming in to replace a founder, I think what I'm hearing is like, you do need to develop a very wide-ranging set of skills. So that means you'd want to go and get experiences in sales teams, in operations teams and finance teams. Like, go and understand the key parts that run an organization, and go and understand them really well. Like Pete said, you don't have to need to be the best at them, but understand them really well. And then know that you're probably very rarely going to see roles open for CEOs. And most CEOs, from what I can see, get hired from within. And so all the CEOs I've ever seen become CEOs were either like a CFO, a COO, or a chief strategy officer. So go into those kinds of roles, and that's what will get you the opportunities to be a CEO in your company or at another company.
Yep.
But I think if you're early in your career and you really want to go there, the one bit of advice that I think would be really valuable is like go and take on a chief of staff role, because the chief of staff role effectively gets to shadow a CEO and you get to see everything they do. And so we had a chief of staff and she was like exceptional and she really wanted to be CEO. That was her career plan. She came and shadowed us for 2 or 3 years. And she said, you know what? I do not want to be a CEO. This is not the kind of job for me. It's way shitter than I thought. And now she's an exceptional COO somewhere else. And she loves the COO role. But she learned, CEO is not for her. So that will give you a really good view of things, I think, if you go be a chief of staff somewhere.
The other thing I would note, if you are wanting, whoever the person is wanting to be a CEO, is you can still have a lot of leadership and input to an organization in other roles, like the COO role in particular, or even depending on what your skill set is. If you're like CMO, if you're more finance and CFO. But when you're CEO, the buck stops with you. When a decision is made, responsibility lies with you. And are you prepared to take on that level of responsibility in the event or whatever it is happening, and just understand that is the requirement of taking on that level of responsibility.
Yeah, you need to completely own stuff, and that's the only way you can have any kind of chance of success. And not everyone loves that, but I remember really early in the days of Vigo, we had like an absolute crisis. I can't remember what it was because it feels like you have crises nonstop in a business, but we had this crisis and we were out of the accelerator, because in an accelerator, it kind of feels like you have a boss, but we were out of the accelerator. And I just remember sitting there thinking, it is up to us, or it is up to me to what we do now. Like I get to decide, and the company might be dead or it might be fine or it might be great. And I remember just like starting to kind of laugh about it, being like, holy shit, there is no one to go to. There is no one I can ask. There is no one who will tell me what to do. Like this is my choice. And it's like that, those moments are like, I love that shit. But they're not good moments. So like if that kind of stuff is awesome to you, then like have a crack and maybe this path is for you. But if that pressure, feels heavy on your shoulders and too heavy on your shoulders, maybe there are these other roles that are a good fit.
Yeah.
Well, Azalian, you've been advised, and we've got time for one more question, which we will speed run. So Peter, this is called, my side feature is making 3 times more revenue than my actual product, and now I'm confused. I built a product management tool for freelancers and small agencies. I spent ages polishing task boards, time tracking, client portals, all of it. Burned through my savings on development and basic ads. Then I checked Stripe and realized most paying users barely touch the core product. 70% are only using this simple invoice generator I built for myself as an afterthought. It's basic, quick to build, but apparently freelancers just want something clean that calculates taxes properly. Meanwhile, my beautiful Kanban boards, nothing. Now I'm wondering if I should pivot into invoicing and billing, or keep pretending the PM features matter. I feel dumb for missing it, but also feel relieved that at least something's working. I don't know what to do. This is from Ideal Opposition.
Well, I think they already know what to do.
Yeah.
The evidence is, this is the hardest part of being a founder, is not being emotionally connected to the outcome you want. I've always said, let the product show you where it needs to go, and be willing to let go of the potential of what you perceive the outcome to be. Because often we want it so badly to go here. Either you want it for whatever reason. Yet products often have a mind of their own and do resonate with customers. It is part of the iteration process and continuously going back and getting customer feedback, which is a great tool to do. And this is, the market is telling you, the market is showing you which way to go. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, this is such a clear-cut question for me.
It's like lean into what they're using and then develop that further. But it's the emotional connection to the original concept. And as soon as you realize I'm the only one holding it here, this isn't about me. If you want something to be about you, then don't have a business, maybe consult or
true.
If you want a business for the sake of business, the business needs to have its own identity. And this right now is showing you that it has a demand in market somewhere else, or the feature does in particular. That's a great thing about features. It's like, so think of it like restaurants having specials. A daily special for a chef is a testing of the market, what needs to go on the menu. This is no different. If you run a series of 3 specials and 2 of them don't sell, you're never going to go and put them on the main menu. But if one of them sells that every day, that may go and put that on the main menu. It's a way of testing. It's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, ideal opposition. You're lucky, you know? Like, you came up with an idea that actually no one wanted. But you accidentally found this other thing that people want. Just fucking do that thing. It's so much better. Go nuts for it and just like kind of go all in on it. And yeah, I mean, it's just so simple in my mind that like you should go for that. Yeah. And you know, maybe keep exploring product management stuff over time, like as a hobby, but that's not your business anymore. Now your business is that you're in invoicing and billing and you've got something, and take this moment, because if you don't, someone else probably will, right? You found this awesome thing, just run after it.
That's right.
All right. Well, you've been advised, ideal opposition, and that's it. So, I mean, one last segment is plugged. So, Peter, anything you want to plug?
Oh, absolutely. Always plugging. If you've got anything in the defense space, or if you could be operating maybe have some sort of technology or use case that could be dual use and haven't thought about the defense market, it's quite a closed door market, right? So if you have no idea about what sort of solutions defense is looking for, but anything in the deep tech space, sort of anything to do with space as well, there's a huge area there. We're always keen to meet new founders who are working on solutions in the defense tech space. Anything that increases our survivability, lethality, or defendability. So keen to speak to anybody. And often people, there's a lot of inventors, a lot of people come up with solutions. They haven't had an opportunity to bring it forward yet, or they've dabbled. We get a lot of really left of field engineers who are fascinated with some areas but haven't quite fit in the commercial business world, but it's perfect for defense.
Love that. Well, those tinkerers, inventors, go nuts, reach out to Peter. And also
inventors,
just if you're in the founder startup space, just at least connect with Peter online. She's the best. And if you're looking for coaching, I think, Peter, you still doing coaching?
I do. Yeah, I do coaching. Especially about accountability. So if you're looking for actually do the thing and have somebody hold you accountable, then I'm very good at holding you accountable to following through and doing what you say you're going to do. A lot of people want to do a lot of things, have great plans for it, but fail on the execution part. And it's very easy to fix. It's super easy to fix. You just have to commit to saying, I actually want to do this, and have somebody in your corner to back you into doing it.
I spoke to someone getting coached by Peter recently, and they told me, I love Peter, I'm scared of Peter. So if you want to get shit done, go to Peter. You will get shit done. And I felt it firsthand. It's awesome. So can recommend strongly.
You're still here. And
I'm still here.
And your business is still going. How
good. It's awesome. So thank you for coming on, Peter. This is awesome. Absolutely. I loved having you on. And I'll have you on again when we can finally organize this again, because you and I took a little bit of time to get this booked in.
Yeah, we've got lots to say.
Maybe in 12 more months, we'll book in something else.
Awesome. Thanks, Joel.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for listening.